our US fans and the world fans as well. We've got someone great right now. He's by the name of Gano Grills. This guy is amazing. This guy is spiritual. This guy is an actor. I don't even know how to explain it, but we're going to have a good conversation with this guy. We want it up and personal. We want it to understand what's going on in people's lives, and we want to understand how we can actually control that by understanding his history, his information, and the things that he needs to help our own people. Gano Grills, how's things today?
Everything is good. Thank you so much for having me. And this is my second home. I feel very at home here, and the audience is growing, so it's really good to participate in being able to add on to the equation.
Okay, as you know, this is Black Eyes TV 7, you know, the people's choice. And Gano, we want to go straight to the point, because you know, we had this event last week and we had another event this week, and before we even actually step into that, we just want to have a little brief of your upbringing from a childhood to where you're at now.
Wow. Well, I was raised on Staten Island, New York, in Stapleton. Went to school like everybody else, graduated from high school. And I was actually a rapper for a long time. And one day a really good friend of mine named Angel, this is in, I think, 1996. He looked at me and said, you know, Gano, you're not really a rapper. You're really an actor, acting like a rapper. And when he told me that, that killed my desire to rap anymore. So it took me about 2 weeks to fully divest, and as you guys say, unpack that in my consciousness. And I had to make a decision as to what I was going to do with my life. And being that I hung up my lyrics, the question came from within, what is it that you have the most experience doing? And the answer was being an actor. Been in a lot of plays and lots of other things. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to pursue that professionally and just be the best father that I can be. Because at that time I had my 2 daughters. And life has been very interesting since. So you would have to probably ask me a more pointed, specific question, because I'm like an onion, there's lots of things. You know?
Okay, let's go through, like, for instance, I read something about your childhood. Give us a little abbreviation on that.
Well, you know, I think dealing with some of the skirmishes of how intolerable sometimes people can be. Going through that, I was very sensitive about how cruel sometimes people can be, and how people didn't keep their word, and how certain people would do certain things. I was very sensitive to that at an early age. And what it made me do was advance my study in human nature and why people do the things that they do, and really ask the questions. Why is it like this? And one of the things that I came to realize is that a lot of the things that we celebrate, a lot of our values, are something wrong with that. And as I studied some of the questions that I had, even going to church, because I was an avid attendee in church and Sunday school and reading the Bible, there were also questions that I could not get answered. I didn't have a satisfactory answer to the questions that I asked. So I didn't become a recluse, but I did shift gears in my awareness, and I became more astute at looking at things on a deeper level, and I became very analytical. And the question kept posing, why is it like this? I learned how to fight, thank God, you know, by doing push-ups in my room and working out, and learning how to slap box. We would slap box for hours on weekends. And just, you know, we have this thing called the 52 hand blocks, where, you know, throwing a punch, you could block any kind of punch and also give it back. So that was something that I got very good in. And growing up in Stapleton, there was this crew called the Paris Crew.
Okay.
So Billy Johnson, Ready Red, Tango, Thomas Knight, there must have been about 40 guys in that crew. They were all amazing fighters, like heavyweight fighters that can fight you bare knuckles. And I saw this. I saw a lot of these fights, and they were knuckleheads. They would rob people and do certain things. So I came up in an era where it was kind of like Sparta, gladiators, you know what I mean? And that era does not exist anymore because nowadays kids will shoot you first if there's any type of threat to them. So my point is that really forged, it forged a lot of who I am now in terms of seeing the world very differently from most people. A lot of times when I look at television or I look at the movies and certain things that our populace is entertained by, my mouth is open because I'm looking around the room and I'm saying, does anybody else, did you just see that? Did you not see that that was bestiality, or that was an invitation for something of necromancy? And everyone just watches it because people are so desensitized to things that people are not seeing the clear, specific assaults on their consciousness. And because people are so desensitized that they're able to be steered like cattle to a slaughter. And that's something that I'm passionate about helping people to realize and kind of be aware of so that they don't become victims of these attacks.
Okay. Now, we've gone through your childhood, and I'm trying to figure out, because everyone gets into this predicament it's quite a lot, where when it comes to forms of religion, because as for me, I was brought up as a Christian and as a Muslim. Now, for your side of things, as I said, I know that a lot of people from the States, they come through that Christianity. I want to give a little talk about how did you find going through Christianity to where you are now?
Well, Christianity is something that, I was raised up in that. My great-grandmother always had me reading the Bible and some of the stories. That was something that there was always something about the religion that didn't sit well with me. There were certain things that just didn't add up. And ironically, Christianity led me into Islam. So I practiced Islam for a few years. I wore a long white robe. I prayed 4 to 5 times a day. I did zakat. I went to Jummah, and I did lots of, salat and prayers. And it gave me the discipline to figure certain other things out. And I saw that Islam was an extension of Christianity. And this is one thing that I always said to people. I believe that the Muslims of the world are a lot more like the mythology of Jesus than the Christians, because the Muslims wear the sunnah, or they wear the attire of what Jesus wore. They prostrate their face to the ground. That's the same way that Jesus prayed. They have their beards. They give a lot. So a lot of times Muslims are looked at as terrorists, but as Farrakhan says, one man's terror is another man's freedom fight. So the two, going through those two schools of religion helped me to see that there's a lot more. I didn't get cut off at the knees, in my opinion, because I stayed open. And I left Al-Islam because also I started to develop questions about why there is so much oppression, why the woman is not equalized, and certain other things that didn't really resonate in my core, because I had the courage to ask some of the difficult questions that most people wouldn't dare do, because when you challenge your own faith and you're not willing to look at or question the things that you believe year after year, you will get stuck. And I review my core beliefs on a regular basis. There were things that I believe today that I didn't believe last year, so it keeps you growing. So to answer the question, I would suggest to anyone that take a good, honest look at everything that you believe in and ask yourself if it is true to you. And if it is not, and if you've outgrown that belief, don't be afraid to move on, upward and outward, and explore more, because there was always more.
Yeah, so I kind of understand that. So like from the religion aspect, because like for me, I went through the religions, but then I was kind of more in that form of seeking. So I was trying to go through academia, but I still feel that there's some form of spiritual way of dealing with things. And the more I seeked that direction, I wasn't really getting the information that I needed. So I was just wanting to know, from that perspective of, how can I put it, through the churches and Islam, how did you find yourself to seek into that form of spirituality?
With that, I was always led by my conviction. So if there was something, again, that I didn't believe in, I had to step away from it. It was frightening sometimes, because there were times where I felt like I was very alone for a while, because there wasn't anything around that I could latch onto that kept my attention, that stimulated my beliefs or matched my beliefs. But eventually, those things came. So when someone is seeking for divine truth as it is, you also have to understand that truths have derivatives. I heard Baba Phil Valentine say this, and I'm going to cite the source of what I'm about to say. Truth does have derivatives, because truth is derived from a certain school of thought or theosophy. However, reality is an extant, unchangeable circumstance that prevails no matter what you may believe. And when you tap into that reality, it doesn't matter what everybody else around you believes, you are part of I believe, the expanse of the all, or creation. So where I'm at now, to give you an example, I have relaxed and let go of my need of religion. I feel like I have graduated beyond that. And religion to me represents a kindergarten education, whereas spirituality will afford you the unlimited data, knowledge, and gnosis of all that there is to know. Academia, on the other hand, provides certain facts and historical data, and unfortunately, because those things vary from school to school, there are many people that debate on those things, and in my humble opinion, I believe that that's a waste of time. It's good to have the credulous of academia have certain dates and certain periods that you know that the Moors were in Europe, and then when they left Europe, and certain of those things. But even behind that, there is still something inside of you that needs to evolve, and it is not your thirst for knowledge in academia, it is your need to feed your soul light, because everything has to feed. So there's a certain part of you that exists within your body that needs to have nourishment. And it isn't from academia, it isn't from religion, it is not from your workplace or your family life. The only thing that can give that part of yourself the satisfaction so that you don't create a void in your life is spirituality.
My life in the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. What does everybody love? Sunshine. Folks get down in the sunshine. I can hear you up there, sunshine. Folks get down in the sunshine. and figs and flowers.